North Korea always evokes a mix of curiosity, skepticism, and fear. The dramatic images of citizens crying at the sight of their leaders, applauding in robotic unison, create an almost theatrical impression, fueling myths about the country. However, behind this facade lies a highly calculated regime. Without such careful planning, the Kim family would not have maintained power for this long. Let's dive deeper into how this regime, despite its many challenges, has managed to stay in control and why its strategies are far more calculated than they may seem. The turning point: famine and private trade. The 1990s brought North Korea to its knees. A devastating famine swept through the country, killing hundreds of thousands. It was during this period that the United Nations began sending humanitarian aid, but even that wasn't enough to prevent systemic collapse. Desperate to prevent a complete breakdown, the regime allowed some concessions: private trade. For the first time, ordinary citizens began engaging in shadow markets and smuggling to survive. Women, traditionally confined to domestic roles, became breadwinners, trading goods to keep their families alive. This shift marked the rise of North Korea's shadow economy, but with it came a threat to the regime's absolute control. The rise of private enterprise could have undermined Kim Jong Il's authority. His response? A strategy known as Songun, or military-first policy. By channeling resources into the military and ensuring their loyalty, Kim Jong Il tightened his grip on power. The army, now heavily privileged, became a key pillar of the regime. The nuclear strategy: shield and sword. Another cornerstone of the Kim regime's survival is its nuclear weapons program. While the program is extraordinarily expensive for such an impoverished nation, it serves two crucial purposes: external security and internal propaganda. The lessons from Libya and Muammar Gaddafi's downfall were not lost on Kim Jong-un. Without nuclear weapons, Libya was left vulnerable to foreign intervention. The Kim regime learned from this, using their nuclear arsenal as a shield against external threats. But nuclear weapons are not just about deterrence. Domestically, they're a powerful propaganda tool. Kim Jong-un has used the nuclear program to portray North Korea as strong and independent under his leadership. For a population conditioned to view the world as hostile and threatening, this narrative reinforces trust in the regime. Three pillars of control: propaganda, the military, and the elite. The Kim dynasty has built its rule on three pillars: propaganda, the military, and a privileged elite class. Propaganda glorifies the leaders, portraying them as divine figures who protect the nation from external enemies. It also instills fear of the outside world, ensuring citizens remain isolated and dependent on the regime. The military, receiving the lion's share of resources, remains fiercely loyal. This loyalty is not only rewarded with privilege but also reinforced through the military's critical role in national identity and defense. The elite, known as the donju or money masters, includes government officials, military leaders, and entrepreneurs operating within the shadows of the state-controlled economy. These individuals enjoy privileges unimaginable to the average citizen: foreign currency, luxury cars, Western clothing, and even resort vacations. This system reflects a governance model described by Niccolò Machiavelli: rely on a small, loyal group to maintain power. For the majority of the population, the regime provides only the bare minimum for survival, ensuring they remain too weak to challenge the system. What happens if the curtain falls? If North Korea's Iron Curtain ever falls, the country will likely face challenges similar to those of the Soviet Union after its collapse. The industrial sector, heavily reliant on outdated technology and isolationist policies, would struggle to compete with South Korea and China. Meanwhile, the current elite would lose their privileges, causing significant political and economic instability. The West has tried to offer North Korea a path to modernization. Proposals have included investments and reforms, similar to the models of China and Vietnam, but Kim Jong-un has resisted these overtures, understanding the risks they pose. Economic reforms, like those that led to the Soviet Union's collapse, could spell the end of his regime. Interestingly, Kim Jong-un's education in Switzerland and exposure to Western culture give him unique insight into the dangers of making too many concessions. He knows the value of maintaining a tight grip on power and the consequences of allowing reforms to spiral out of control. A strategy of balance. At its core, the Kim regime's strategy is a balancing act between fear and privilege. The elite receive resources and status, the military is kept strong and loyal, and the general population is kept dependent on the state. While this strategy has allowed the regime to survive, it has also stunted North Korea's potential for economic and social development. In the end, North Korea remains a paradox, a country that relies on oppression and isolation to maintain its regime, while its people remain cut off from the opportunities of the modern world. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth analyses of global issues. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the Kim regime can sustain this balancing act in the long term?